What's up, everybody? I'm Matt.
And I'm Beth.
And today we're going to be reviewing the interior in the 2022 Kia Stinger. So the Stinger has a little refresh here for 2022. They just changed a few little things on the outside. And on the inside here, the nice big change is you have this huge 10.25-inch widescreen touchscreen display. And that is the real big change. But we've never actually reviewed an interior in a Stinger. So that's why I figured it'd be worth going through this whole interior with you guys. And it's a really nice interior for the money, I think. Kia really tried to make this kind of a competitor to all the German luxury stuff in a lot of ways, both performance-wise and also with the interior. And you can hear all about the performance in my driving review. But as far as this interior, I think it's pretty nice, for the money. This one, by the way, retails right around $40,000, just under it at $39 and change. And I think for the money, it's, it feels pretty premium in here. It's not as nice as the Germans, but it's not far off.
Yeah, agreed. I think the only changes I would like would probably be a little bit nicer materials. They have the piano black plastic here, which could be made to some kind of wood or some kind of nicer leather. I'm not sure, but since it's 40, I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah, I think it's totally fair. There are a few materials, though, you're right. We'll get into some of those a little bit more later. But first off, one thing I think they really do well with the Stingers is comfort here. And these seats are a big part of it. They're nice, soft, like artificial leather seats here in these. Now, you can't get fancier quilted leather seats in the full-blown Stinger GT. But the GT line here just has these simple perforated seats. They're just heated, by the way, as well. You can get cooled seats, again, in the GT, but only heating here in these. You have, lumbar adjustments. It's just also really easy to find a good comfortable driving position here in the Stinger, and I just always feel so comfortable driving around in these, just as far as how I'm sitting too.
And with the passenger, you have all of the same controls except for your lumbar support, but you can go up and down, back and forth, everything like that, and it's all a power control, so very nice.
The steering wheel here in the Stinger is also really nice. The one other change here for 2022 is the new Kia badge, so you have that here on the wheel. Otherwise, just a nice flat bottom wheel, and it just has a really nice 9-3 grip, and it's not too thick, unlike some of the German wheels, which have really thick wheels. This is just a really nice feeling steering wheel. You have some nice little metal plated paddle shifters here on the back of the wheel as well, and just really nice. The gauges are one little letdown here, though, in the Stinger, because they're analog gauges still, with just a tiny little digital portion there in the middle, which is color, but a lot of the competitors do offer digital gauges. Maybe not in this price point, but just a little bit more. But even stuff like a Volkswagen GTI now has digital gauges, so it'd be nice to see digital gauges here. But these analog gauges work fine, have all the usual info in them, and so unless you're someone who must have the most cutting edge tech, I think these gauges are still totally fine. And then coming over to the center, again, that main star of the show here is this new touchscreen, which I also have to say looks a lot better in the Stinger interior than the old screen, which was a lot more square and kind of stood up a little more. This kind of blends in nicer with the interior design here in the Stinger. And you also see some nice padded material here all across the dash, and that is one thing that makes this feel a little nicer than even a lot of other Kias, with just a little more soft touch material, a little bit more metal here with these knobs and stuff. All that feels really great, and the screen works really well. If you're familiar with this, they've been using this screen for the past couple of years. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capability, but does not have wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So you still got to plug in your phone. Some of the other newest competitors let you do it wirelessly, but at least you have that integration there.
And it's set back just ever so slightly. I'm not crazy about that, because I feel like when you do have a touch screen, you want it to be kind of close to you, especially if you're tall and you're sitting far back or anything like that. I just wish that maybe it was a little bit farther forward, because it is like inset in here. So
that's true, and you have like a little ridge here. They could have brought it right to the edge of where this padding is and at least saved you another half an inch or something. It'd be nice.
I mean, it is a really nice look. It has a really nice look to it. I just wish that it was closer.
Yeah, but it does work really well. Tuning radio stations and all that is really easy. Their menu systems and stuff are very easy to use. And you still do also have volume and tune knobs, which is great. And they're actually like metal plated too, along with all these other shortcut buttons that are metal plated. So that's, nice that they have all that.
But a gripe I do have is the fact that the volume knob is all the way next to the driver, which once again, they always seem to have a volume knob on their steering wheel, and so I don't know why that would have been put more towards the middle or towards the passenger so that they could easily reach it, but whatever.
Yeah, like for example, Audi and BMW, a lot of times they have a volume knob down here around the shifter area, a little more central for the passenger there. So yeah, that'd be nice. But at least they're logical with, having tune on the right, volume on the left, typical kind of old-fashioned
Very
setup
normal.
there. But one thing that is kind of odd with the materials here is while the volume and tune knobs feel pretty nice, the knobs beneath it are plasticky and are not made of the same material. And you would think they would have the same material throughout. And you also, strangely, when you go down to these lower buttons, all of a sudden they're now black plastic instead of metal too. So kind of an odd little mismatch there, and it'd be nice if all these buttons were all the same material and all just as nice. But, kind of nitpicking here because, again, we are still talking about a vehicle that's under 40 grand. So it is what it is, but that is something you also get in a regular Stinger GT, which is in the 50s, and that is a little bit more not so great, at that price point. But here, not too bad. You also see, a USB jack, power outlet, and a wireless charging pad in there, but, not a whole lot of space to store too many things there.
Also, too, with a wireless charger, if you do have a big phone or even a chunky case or a chunky phone, it might not fit into this little slot. They do not give you very much space for you to put your phone in there. So I can barely fit my phone in there, and I have an iPhone 13 Pro with a pop socket on it. So I don't know. I don't think that it would be very good if you have a thicker case. My case is kind of slim, but still I have a case and a pop socket, and it's just barely fitting in there. So if you have
like an OtterBox or something.
Yeah, or any kind of bigger phone case, a phone case with a wallet in it, anything like that.
True.
You're not going to be able to fit it in there or even charge it. So you're kind of SOL.
But they do make up for it with a few other storage spaces. So you have pockets in the doors with a bottle holder, and they're a decent size. And then in the middle here, you have 2 cup holders. You have this other little cutout here right in front of your armrest. Then you do have this center armrest, which is really large, but it is on the firm side. And so it's fine for your elbow, but it's not the softest. But then you also do have a good amount of space here under your armrest. You'll see a little removable tray and a good amount of space there too. And so, I mean, yeah, aside from the wireless charging pad, I'd say it's a pretty good amount of storage space here for a sporty sedan like this. Obviously when you're going to crossovers and stuff, you have a lot more space. But for the type of vehicle this is, I think it's pretty good. One last little thing to mention about up front here too is you have this Harman Kardon stereo here, and that's actually something that comes standard now. There's a sound and sun package, but that's actually like a required package on all 2022 Stinger GT lines. So even though it looks like an option on the Kia site, they force you to get it. So everyone seems to get this stereo, and it sounds really good though. I really enjoyed listening to music with it. I'd say that it's right up there. It might not be quite as awesome as, again, the German competitors with their slightly higher end stereos, but I think it still sounded really good. You have the nice metal speaker grills, and no complaints there either. Backseat space here in the Stinger is also really good. So you have a good amount of space. I'm 5'9", sitting behind myself. Plenty of legroom there. A good amount of headroom still too, even though, you do have this sloping roof line. It doesn't really cut in on headroom a whole lot. You have a full down center armrest with 2 cup holders built into it. You have your own mini climate control there in the back and their own air vents, along with another power outlet and a USB jack. So great to have all that kind of stuff back there.
And I sat back there with our baby, and I was really comfortable. I had plenty of leg space.
Yeah, and even with a rear-facing car seat like we have installed here, you can have someone sitting up front here, and they still have a couple inches to spare. So, the longer dimensions here of the Stinger certainly help you with a little bit more legroom, over some of the more compact competitors possibly. And so, yeah, a good amount of space there. And also the trunk space in the Stinger. That's the last thing that's really fantastic about the Stingers, is that huge hatch, which really sets this apart. It's pretty unique aside from basically the Volkswagen Arteon and the Audi A5 Sportback. There's really very few that have a hatch like this, and it really gives you a lot more versatility, because in addition to just having the very long space, it's also a nice wide space. You can access it really easily there with the hatch, and there's not really any room for anything underneath the floor there, so it is a pretty shallow space, but at least you have the length working for you. And if you want even more length, you can fold down those rear seats too and put some really long items here in the Stinger pretty comfortably. So really good amount of space there. Again, as long as you don't need to stack stuff. Obviously an SUV will be better for some of those things, but compared to the average sedan, I think that you probably have a little bit more space here in the Stinger. So that's a cool little extra dimension and an extra little perk you don't usually get with some of the other normal sedan competitors out there. But yeah, so that's about it as far as all of our thoughts here on the Stinger. They do a really good job with these interiors, and yeah, you know, maybe for the next generation, if there is a next generation Stinger, it'd be great to see some higher quality materials. But the value is really strong here for the Stingers, and I'll talk more about the pricing in my driving review, which I'll link again above here so you guys can check that out. But that's all of our thoughts here on the Stinger. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care.